Hi, welcome to Storycaster. Today we're going to play the game a little bit differently. We're going to play it solo. Um, I am going to assume that you actually know how to play. If you don't, then there are some other videos that can teach you. So I'm just going to jump right in. As always with any Storycaster game, you're going to want to bring a list of names. I tell people when you're playing with collaboratively, bring between 5 and 10 names. But when you're actually building your own world, you'll probably want to have even more names than that because you're the only one who's going to be creating. In solo mode, we're going to play as if it was 3 players. And so how it changes is we're going to draw 3 world building cards for this. Now we're always going to have 5 intrigue cards, for every time that we take a turn. That doesn't change, but having the multiple world building cards, that does change. Okay, so without further ado, let's just jump right in. I'm going to draw 3 region cards. I always love this card. I'm going to call this the Valley of the Veil. Let's see, our world building card. The Valley of the Veil is this name. Its core concept is that this is a big plain where bison and like water buffalo pass through here. It's a migration field through it. What's its notable fact? The most interesting creature that is commonly found in this region. What do we want to call these interesting buffalo? I'm going to call them Abeling Alps. Told you needed a little names. Abeling Alps are an Alp is a creature that many people depend on. An Alp is a big, slow-moving, kind of like a bison, and they walk in mud. They actually live most of their lives in mud. Okay, that's a good start. That was the Valley of the Veil. Next region. Okay, this is the Tainted Swamp. Let's read our next world building card. Tainted Swamp. Briefly summarize an interesting idea. The Tainted Swamp is a place where it is a foreboding place. There are a lot of very large creatures that live here. It is a huge biomass area, and so it can actually support very large creatures. So it's known for like nasty little beasts. My notable fact is what conflict has scarred this region. I think the conflict is that there is a black dragon. He has to have a really good name. What do we want to call this black dragon? How about Marzlehawk? Marzlehawk, the black dragon, lives in the Tainted Swamp. And the conflict has been Marzlehawk has always, like, that is its kingdom, and it flies out and raids in the villages surrounding the Tainted Swamp, and people have tried to destroy Marzlehawk many times, but they've never been successful. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's go for one last one. Wish you guys could vote. This is the port of Dali Pagali. Dali Pagali is a kind of a free city pirate port, a free city pirate port, and it is a floating. It's a bunch of boats lashed together that float in like a Caribbean type tropical sea. It doesn't actually have any real land, so it is a big lashed together bunch of flotsam and jetsam in the sea. A notable fact: what tradition or belief is widely held in this region? What tradition or belief is widely held in this region? They say that there is a cask of wine that is very special, and pirates deliver essentially a bit of this wine. What's special about this wine is that every single ship that's ever been christened, so when they smash a bottle on it and they break it, it has wine has been collected, like even a drop. And there is an actual cask of wine here in Dali Pagali that has at least a drop of every single ship that has ever been christened. Okay, that's neat. Now we vote. So we have Valley of the Veil, which is an Alp migration land. We've got the Tainted Swamp, the land of a lot of monsters, and we have Dali Pagali, the home of the wine. You know what? I think that I really like a story about the water buffalo. So Valley of the Veil it is. I already have 5 intrigue cards, but I'm going to play an intrigue and add another detail about the Valley of the Veil. I mean, this one obviously looks pretty promising. The Valley of the Veil is well known. I'm answering my intrigue card, which is how does this intrigue deepen our understanding of the Valley of the Veil? This is a well-known migration of, it's not just Alps that use the Valley of the Veil. It is a huge migration of land and, insect patterns. This is a natural, essentially, trail where you can find all sorts of migrating animals. Sometimes there are huge scourges of insects that go across the Valley of the Veil. Okay, let's get another one. Another detail about Valley of the Veil. Or another intrigue. The veil itself is actually the head of the veil is a river that passes through this valley, and the veil itself, even though the river is called the veil, its terminus is at a waterfall that is known as the veil. Yeah, I think that as I look at this, I can see that there's a little settlement there. That is where essentially there is a group of people that live around both the top and the bottom. Actually, no, let's just stay with the bottom of near the veil. There is a settlement down there. Okay, I'm going to draw another intrigue. I don't have any legend cards. Interesting. So there is a city. What do we want to call this city? This is Todahado. Todahado is a kind of it would be considered a capital, but what it really is it's closer to more like what Burning Man is. Essentially, Todahado is a place during the migrations. There's huge amounts of food that is coming through here. I mean, enough for hunters and gatherers to collect for an entire year. And so during the migration pattern, all of these tribes meet at Todahado, and they will they meet there. It's kind of like a rendezvous, an old trapper's rendezvous, and it's a rendezvous. That's exactly what we're going to call that. Well, it's called Todahado, but it is a place on the Veil River where many tribes meet. All right, cool. Let's create some places here. Remember, you always want to have 5 intrigue cards just in case you draw a legend, because if legend can play anywhere. I don't have any legends, but that's all right. Now we're going to create more places inside our region, which is the Valley of the Veil. Ooh. Let's talk more about Todahado. This is the Council of, do we want to say the Council of Nine? That sounds very Lord of the Rings. How about we call this the Sword Sheath Council. That's its name. I am going to read its core concept. So the Sword Sheath Council is in Todahado. It is where all of the chieftains of many different tribes of people that meet during the Great Migration. This is where they meet and they discuss, things about it. And the reason it's called the Seventh Sheath is that no one brings any weapons here. They actually will sit at this table, this wooden table that's been carved over years, and they purposely set their sheaths. Like sometimes they're quivers and things like that. A sheath is a it's a metaphor to say we are unarmed. All of us mean no harm to one another. This is what here we come in peace. That is the let's write that down. This is the Council of Sword Sheath. All right, let's create another place. This is the Temple of the Veil. So near the veil itself, the waterfall. This is the most sacred place among the tribes. I think, by the way, Todahado should be somewhere near the waterfall. And among the stones where the waterfall comes is the most holy of holy buildings. These are been carved out of the solid stone, and these are the forefathers of the tribes that live. They don't always live in the Vale, but during the time of the Great Migration, this is where they come together. And one of these most holy places is the Temple of the Veil. Temple of the Veil. Let's answer the my notable fact. What happens at this place long ago that still matters? Well, that sounds important. What happened at this place long ago that still matters? I think that these tribes used to war with one another, and it was very detrimental to them. And what ended up happening is here in the temple, they signed a peace accord with each other. The 9 tribes that really claim they claim the Valley of the Veil. They came together in peace, and essentially they would be like, "Hey, this area is large enough for all of us, and we don't we don't need to fight over it." That's what happened at the Temple of the Veil. This is actually, the temple sits like right on the base, and so it's actually misty in there. Let's get another place. Getting creepy, huh? Do we want to take this creepy? Not yet. I like the Foundry. The Foundry is it's relatively new. The tribes, or one tribe, has really become. Let's call this tribe is actually a bunch of dwarves, and they also come to the Todahado, to the rendezvous, and they have been these dwarves have been bringing steel. You know, like that's their kind of contribution, and passing it and arming a lot of the tribes. So within the Vale, there is a great foundry where a tribe of dwarves, they live permanently. These are not, although they do hunt in the Great Migration, these dwarves actually live at the foundry and mine the mountains near the Vale to make steel. And they are the ones that are actually providing steel to all 9 of the tribes. Let's get my notable fact. What story is told about this place? The story is that the dwarves are the ones that tell this story. The dwarves say that they're the first tribe. Now, a lot of people are like, nah, that doesn't sound right. But they say that this valley was first a dwarven valley, and then other people migrated here. And this has caused a lot of tension with the tribes, even though the tribes are actually at peace, including, the dwarves. But the dwarves are always like, by the way, it's because we let you here. Okay. That's fun. Let's add intrigue to either the Council of Seven Sheath, the Temple of the Vale, or the Foundry of the Dwarves. The Temple of the Vale is where a lot of this knowledge is kept among all of the 9 tribes of the Vale. Now, as I explained, it is there's a lot of mist that comes. It's actually right at the base of the actual Vale, the waterfall, and that means that books don't last there. All of their knowledge is oral tradition, and so there are scholars who essentially act as a library. They are the keepers of all 9 tribes' knowledge and lore. And so if you want to go study something like a library, you go and you talk to people. There is a group of these scholars that live in the temple, and they serve as the library. I like that a lot. Super cool. I'm going to put a canon token on that. I just like that idea a lot. I might come back to it. Canon tokens, if you play Storycaster, you know that we can collaborate together. These are really just there for ideas that I'm like, I really like. And I typically, in a real Storycaster game, you do that at the end of each round. I like to play my canon tokens when I am when I'm playing solo, because there's ideas that I really like, and I'm really just pinning ideas, for myself to be like, hey, this is cool. I'd like to explore this more. Okay. I need to draw an intrigue card. Still no legends, huh? Wow. This definitely looks like... So the dwarves who insist that they are the first tribe, they are the ones who were gifted the magic of artifice. Essentially, they learned how to forge and make steel, and they consider this practice holy. It is a spiritual practice, and they do not teach it to anyone who's A, not a dwarf, and B, not in the first tribe. And that is a lot of contention with the other 8 tribes who are like, you should teach other people how to do this. And they're like, nope. They are like the Masons. They keep the knowledge of how to make steel very under wraps here in the Valley of the Vale, and it's only them who holds on to that. Let's see, I can play on the council. What do we want to add about the council? The Council of Seven Sheath. Or not Seven Sheath. There's 9 tribes. The chieftains who there's only 9 chieftains who sit at this table at any given time, and they're the 9 that represent each of these tribes. It is a great honor to be a chief. Like it is the highest position that you can be. And what's interesting is that if you ever ascend to a chief, then you reserve a place this is at Todahado. There is a tomb where all the chiefs are buried, and it is a great and holy place to be entombed there. The only thing is that you must have served on the council to be laid to rest in this tomb. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. Let's create a faction. I'm going to draw an intrigue card. Factions, of course, are going to be related to the Valley of the Veil. Ooh, but I mean, we have a lot of different factions to choose from. In fact, let's just start talking about some of these different tribes. Who are these tribes? These are the Dancing Rabbits. The Dancing Rabbit tribe is one of the tribes that is migrating, unlike the dwarves. They only come to the Vale during the Great Migration. What is? Let's read my core concept. So my core concept about the Dancing Rabbits is that they are very connected to nature, and they are very connected to familiars. They all have a familiar, and as you see in that picture, like some of these companions can be monsters, but they're here during the Great Migration not to kill anything. In fact, I think these guys are like vegetarians. They're there to find familiars, and that's why they go to the Great Migration. It hurts them to see the other tribes are like they're slaughtering alps and slaughtering all kinds of other creatures, to feed themselves. But the Dancing Rabbits, they look at this very differently. Let's see what my notable fact about the Dancing Rabbits are. What's this faction's greatest dream? The faction's greatest dream is to protect the migration. They know the migration is a spiritual and holy thing, and to even though they would say it, but they are a peaceful tribe. They're not going to say, "Hey guys, maybe we shouldn't slaughter all these animals." They know that people got to eat. But their greatest dream is to see this area protected forever. I like the Dancing Rabbits a lot. They're pretty cool. Do I want to put a cannon token on them, though? Let's just see. Well, hold off. Oh, we have some dwarves. Let's do it. Yep. They're called the First Tribe. The First Tribe, are the dwarves, and they believe that the 8 tribes that come to the Valley of the Veil, they are there simply because the dwarves allow them to. Now, the thing is the dwarves, they make a lot of money and trade during the rendezvous, during Todahado, during the Great Migration, because, it's the dwarves. This is where they take their steel and they can give it to the other tribes. Am I missing? No, okay. About to say, don't want to be missing a inch. Ooh, look, I did draw a legend. Ooh, good. Oh man, let's use this as a faction, people. So typically you will draw 3 cards. I know that I don't want to play any of these cards. It's nice to see them. I am going to play this as a faction. These are the Lostlings. The Lostlings are another tribe, and they are Fae. They are purely a Fae tribe. Are they there? To? I think that the Fae come during the Great Migration. No, they're not there to gather familiars. They're also not there to gather food. They're there, I think, because they're also doing a migration themselves. They're on even though they are one of the tribes, should I make it that the Fae are just part of the migration? I think that I'm going to do that, actually. I'm not going to make them one of the tribes. I'm going to make the Lostlings part of the migration. They're shepherds of, a lot of these creatures moving forward. And they know that, imagine, so that the Fae are like shepherds for many different creatures making this migration pattern. The Lostlings are. Yeah, that's super good. I like that a lot. Okay. What is this faction's most treasured asset? Well, I called them shepherds. Maybe they all have no, it's not a staff. It is a lantern. It's a lantern that each one of the Lostlings hold that will summon animals. They're like the Pied Piper, They are they're leading animals during this great migration. Each of them has a lantern, and so if we were playing D&D, these are like amazing monster summoning lanterns. You could just lay them out, and like instead of like bugs coming to them, like hippos and giraffes will come and just like flock to each one of these lanterns that the Lostlings hold. Oh, I love that. That's definitely getting a token. Okay. Let's put an intrigue. We can play, this is a cool one. We can play off the Dancing Rabbits. We can play off the Lostlings, or we can play off the first tribe. Oh, geez, look, I got another legend. Okay. Do we want to play that legend right away? Oh, I think I want to buy, these guys are so cool. What do I want to say about this? I think that the Lostlings, they battle the city. Dark Fae who try to lead these animals astray and lead them to different places. So the Fae themselves, the Lostlings, these shepherds, are having always every year a battle with other Fae who are trying to lead the animals astray, or maybe just steal the animals. They're essentially like what do you call those? They're not cowboys, but like the old timey, like they used to steal cattle, cow thieves or whatever, bandits. Essentially, these are like Fae bandits. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. We have. Oof. I love these guys. Let's see. Dancing Rabbits. Oh. But they like familiars, right? This is Andalusia. Andalusia is the tribe leader of the Dancing Rabbits, and it is a familiar. That's awesome. Andalusia is an actual lion. An intelligent lion who leads the Dancing Rabbits. Very Lion King all of a sudden, which I really, really like. That's it. I don't know how else to add to that quite yet, but that's just plain cool. What are we going to talk about with the first tribe? I really love this whole thing that the first tribe really wants to, that they're recently introducing this whole idea of a tithe. So because they are not migratory, they live in the Valley of the Veil year round. They are trying to collect a tithe for the the tribes that do migrate here, which is really rubbing the other 8 tribes the wrong way. And believe me, during the Council of the Sword Sheath, that is something that is shouted at, and people oftentimes would love to have their swords in the sheath. Okay, let's do a character. And who is this? This is Beryl. Beril, Beryl, like the stone. Is that a stone? A barrel? I can't remember. Let's see. Core concept. Beryl is a dancing rabbit. She is there to gain a familiar. She has had a familiar, but it was killed, and she's getting a new one on this particular migration. What does this character want others to think of them? Beryl is different than a lot of the dancing rabbits. Beryl, ever since she lost her familiar, she's become more aggressive and more rebellious towards the first tribe, who is trying to take more ownership of the Valley of the Veil, and demand a tithe. She's like, no way, that's not going to happen. She wants others to think of them that the dancing rabbits are not. They're powerful. They have monsters that actually, that they can control, with familiars. They're like, we're not powerless here. She wants others to think that we don't need to be pushed around. Another character. Got a lot of seamen here. Let's see. Pirates? Well, there's a river. Yeah, let's do it. This is a poacher. What was his name? This is Karkaver. Karkaver is exactly that. He is a poacher. He is not part of any of the tribes. He comes during the migration like Buffalo Bill, and they slaughter animals, and they just take like the feet of the Alps. Let's say, in fact, yeah, let's do that. Alps hooves are ivory, and so they're actually quite valuable. Should we make them ivory? Because people would hunt those down like crazy, and I think we should, like, just full on. And the reason is that there are more and more people, like Karkaver, who are only there to slaughter the Alps and take their, maybe let's actually make it horns, that their horns are actually ivory. And, like, they're just like elephants in that way. And instead of honoring these animals, they slaughter them and just take their horns and leave them. They leave them in the valley. They come purely by boat. Karkaver is they come up the river, they kill all of these animals, and then they leave. And they know that the tribes, they hate Karkaver and his poachers. So that's a dangerous job. Let's see, what's my notable fact about Karkaver? Who does this character trust most? He trusts his crew. Yeah, he trusts his crew. He does not. All of the tribes wants this guy dead. But he's a poacher. That's what he does. But he trusts the crew of his boats. I think he probably has like a fleet of like 8 river boats, and they come in, kill the animals, take the horns, and then leave as soon as they possibly can. Okay. Oof. These do look like councilmen, don't they? I do have a legend, but I don't think I really want to play it. I actually do want to. I like... Who is this? This is Kasserai. Kasserai is a chief of another one of the tribes. He is not a dancing rabbit, and he is not a first tribe. He is a new one of the 9 tribes. Which tribe is that? Just for fun. They are the Indios. The Indios are also a migrating tribe. Let's see. What's his core concept? He is the chieftain of the Indios. Okay. And notable fact. What is the rumor about this character? The rumor about not only Kasserai is about pretty much all the Indios. The Indios are really changing, and they can see that the Valley of the Veil can support them, and they're changing their, or they want to change their entire migration lifestyle and become more of a year-round. They stay in the valley all year, much to the chagrin of the first tribe. The Indios are trying to stay there year-round, and that is something that he is actively pushing for. Okay, do I have enough intrigues? I do. So I can play off, I forget what I just called her. Did I not write her name down? I've got Karkover. What did I call her, guys? I remember that she is a dancing rabbit. I didn't write her name down. Who wants to bring dancing rabbit? Not Carson. That's not Andalusia. You know what? I can't remember her name. I could play a lot of these games, so I'm just going to call her Zero right now. I know that wasn't her name the first time, but we're going to call it that for right now because I can't remember. Zero is kind of a cool name anyway. Zero. She is part of the Dancing Rabbits. She lost her familiar. She's there for another one. She doesn't like the dwarves. We have Karkover, the poacher, and we have Kasserai, the leader of the Indios. Ooh, boy. Okay, now we're talking. Zero has an interesting plan. Zero is really interesting. She intentionally lost her familiar. Her familiar used to be like a cat or something like that. And you can only have one familiar. And as she gained kind of in power, she purposely got her cat slaughtered, which, is obviously very, very twisted. And that's because she is trying to get a much more powerful, she's trying to get a much more powerful familiar. Remember how the Lostlings they lead creatures through this migration as well? I think that one of the Lostlings leads dragons on a migration, or maybe maybe a single dragon. I don't know yet. I think she's like, I want to take this dragon as a familiar. Yeah, I love that. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. Getting a lot of people just staring out windows. We got Karkover the poacher, and we got the chieftain of the Indios. What do you want to do? Uh, Karkover is pretty much at open war with the tribes. We already knew that, but the tribes have been like hunting him down, and they've eliminated a lot of his boats. This image that you see is essentially a scene from when Karkover lost some boats. Karkover, remember how I told you he's totally loyal to his crew? I think that now Karkover is no longer interested in gaining horns. He was a poacher, but since some of his men have been slaughtered, he's now on the war path against the tribes. Like he started as a poacher, but now it's revenge. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Look at more people just staring. What are you going to be staring at here, Kasserai? Kasserai's dream. His dream, of course, is that the Indios settle down in the valley. He has a real interesting ideology. His dream here, this is what this card represents, is that he believes that all of the 9 tribes should be settled in the valley because it's only a matter of time before the rest of the world encroaches on the valley. And if the tribes don't unite and like essentially build an army and build a city, they're just going to be taken over by the kingdoms and lands that are encroaching more and more on this big open space. He loves the valley, but he knows that it can only last for, it has a finite amount of time, and then it's gone forever if we don't protect it. Okay, let's do a detail. Well, this looks like a migration. As I said, the Lostlings lead the animals on this great migration. This event, what do we want to call this? It's a detail. My detail is that when the Lostlings, they don't always do this, the Lostlings lead they don't lead mundane animals like Alps. They lead magical creatures on this migration. That's why the Lostlings are there. They're helping magical creatures find their way to the places that they need to go. And remember how there's like the dark elves, the dark city are trying to steal, these magical creatures as well. This is what attracted Zero, because she wants to gain a familiar. But essentially, this migration this year is a monster migration. Okay. Oh, did I not have enough? Ooh, well, I needed to draw intrigue. Didn't matter. I can't play an intrigue except for an intrigue. I can only play a legend, but I don't have any legends. A detail is that there are signposts. They're called beacons, and they have a lot of interesting language. The tribes use these signposts as ways to communicate what's happening, just like, with the buffalo. They don't know where they are in the valley. Always the valley is huge. And so they don't know exactly where the signs are. And so they leave these really interesting beacons that have essentially like a symbology on them that is like a language among the tribes. They're called signals. Very original, signals. Well, that just looks perfect. This is the migration of the hippogriffs. The hippogriffs are a mythical creature, and they need to follow this pattern as well. The hippogriffs are on this particular migration. They don't do this every year, but this year, the flight of the hippogriffs. I want to call it the flight of the Valkyries so bad, but no, the flight of the hippogriffs is happening this year. Okay. Intrigue. Garkaver, in his revenge, he knows that the tribes use these signals, and they've been using these signals. They're like set places, they're landmarks, to help identify where the Alps are, and he's destroying them like systematically. He has a map of where they are. Because he's been doing this as a poacher. He's going, and he's no longer on his boats, by the way. He's actually in the valley, and he's just like destroying and confusing the tribes of where are the Alps. Someone is destroying all the landmarks. That someone is Garkaver. Okay. Flight of the Hippogriffs. What do we want to do for that? Oh, so the flight of the hippogriffs doesn't happen all that often. It's very, very rare. This is actually gonna make me change something. Since the flight of the hippogriffs happens very rarely. I don't know what the exact time when it happens. There is a particular party at Todohado, and it's a ceremony. It's essentially like a holiday, and that is what is attracting. That's what is attracting people like Zero. Now, the dancing rabbits, they would have always come, but Zero is coming on this particular day. Remember how I said she was like hunting down a dragon? I think now she's probably hunting down like. She doesn't want just a hippogriff. She wants like the queen of hippogriffs. You remember in Lord of the Rings where Gandalf has like his Shadowfax is like the lord of horses. There is a queen of hippogriffs, and that is who Zero is after. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, this is interesting. Remember how I was saying that the Lost Things all have a lantern? So there is the Lostlings essentially are putting out signs. They're not fireworks, but they're almost like weird signals out in the vale, in the valley. And this is marking, the flight of the hippogriffs. There are really interesting, I want to call them fae sign, essentially. Like, we know that there are fairies in the area, and people are looking for these signs, especially people like Zero. Okay, we have made our Valley of the Vale. That was fun. I'm going to get rid of all my cards, and we're going to go right into the creation round. As I said before, we're not creating a player character for this, although, if we wanted to, we could create player characters that have a backstory that is connected to the Valley of the Vale. But I want to do a magic item, a monster, and a villain. I'll play all three. I just added some more tokens because I'm going to be creating 3 at a time. So let's just do that. I'm going to create a monster. There's plenty of really cool monsters that could be here. Remember, I don't need to know anything about these creatures, these items. We're going to be doing this all right here, right now. I'm going to do this. I really like this whole flight of the hippogriffs thing. So, and lastly, we're going to create an item. choose. So how we do this now is that each of us is going to choose each of us. There's only one player here. This is all academic. We know that we're all related to the Veil, but remember, we are each going to have our creation cards. I don't know how we're going to do this for do it like this. You know what? I'll draw creation cards one at a time for the other, this monster and this item. Now it's, you're supposed to go in order. I mean, there's only one person, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to start with this dwarf. Who is this dwarf? This is Donovan. Well, I don't really know anything about Donovan, so let's answer my highlight and backstory question. How is Donovan related to the Valley of the Veil? Donovan is a First Tribe member. He is a tax collector who really believes that the other 8 tribes should be paying their dues. In fact, he is one of the guys who very much supports this whole idea that the other tribes are lesser than the First Tribe and that they should be paying a tithe. What's my second question? What secret connects you to this, to the Valley of the Veil? Secret connects Donovan. Donovan is really like, I wanted to make him a bad guy. We're making a villain here. So he is trying to, he wants to take his plans even farther than, he's not just like collecting a tax. He wants to subjugate the other 8 tribes, and essentially, he doesn't want to conquer them. He wants them to be under the First Tribe nation, and then the others are they're citizens or something like that. He has a vision much like Kesserai, which is there should be a nation. Yeah, okay, that's making sense. I like that. I don't know who this is or what this is at all. Let's answer a question about this. What is this? What is this? This is Pimble. Pimble is a hippogriff. A young hippogriff who is part of the migration. How is Pimble related? Pimble is a hippogriff on the migration. What chance for redemption lies in... Pimble's a monster. So we're going to be reading. See, look at that card. There's actually 3 different, and I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. There's 3 different icons. We're doing that middle one because this is a monster. What secret in this Valley of the Veil past hides this monster's truth? The hippogriffs oh yeah, okay. This is the secret. All familiars are reincarnated over and over and over again. They essentially come from a pool, and they take different forms. Pimble is the original cat of Zero's, and that's a secret. Pimble knows that essentially that Zero murdered her last familiar, and Pimble's back again. And Pimble's like, I know what you did. Oh, good. All right. What is this? I definitely wanted to, I loved this idea of these like shepherd lanterns. I wanted to make one. What is this? This is the stray light. The stray light is, it is a lantern that is meant to go find the lost. There's, like I said, there's quite a few lanterns. Each one of the Lostling holds one of these things, and they lead different creatures, magical creatures, on this migration. The stray light is meant for those who are lost creatures, ones who get stuck, in this realm, and they need to be found. Now, as you see my card, I'm actually doing the third question on this one. What's secret about this story element? So the Valley of the Veil, does this item contain that no one has discovered yet? What's secret? I think that the stray light the stray light can lead on to Lucia. The stray light is like, could actually have the chieftain of the dancing rabbits have it follow it. Like, essentially, you can shine the light and control onto Lucia. That is a secret. Yep, definitely. Okay, great. Now we're going to choose a place. We have Donovan. We have Pimble, the reincarnation of the cat, and we have the stray light. This is the council. This is the library, the temple. And this is the foundry. I think that Pimble is going to be Donovan is going to be part of the foundry. Pimble is going to be has her backstory in the temple. Where am I? Let's move these. I'm also going to use the temple as an important backstory point for the stray light. So, just like in a normal Storycaster game, we go top down, and so it is the temple that we're going to do first. We always go to the right of the button. So the right of the button is Pimble, and we're going to read our second question about Pimble. How is this story element related to your focus? Pimble is related to the temple because the librarians are well aware. Remember, they have all this knowledge. They're well aware that the familiars are reincarnations of one another, and they've been tracking them. And there is a librarian who has been taking care of the spirit of Pimble many times over, because Pimble is a reincarnation, and her last incarnation had a terrible mishap because she was Zero's. But the librarian knows the spirit of Pimble, and has seen many different forms. This current form of Pimble is a hippogriff. And so Pimble finds sanctuary in the temple because there's someone that knows who Pimble is. Pimble is a monster, so we're going to read the second question. What hunt drives this monster onward with this story element? Well, like I said, there is a librarian. I don't know who this is yet, But there's a librarian who knows exactly what Pimble is and the spirit of Pimble. And so what drives the monster? Love. Every time she's in a different incarnation, she goes to this, to her son. It's a mentor, or a parent even. It is a librarian who can recognize her in her many forms. Let's go to the stray light. How is the stray light related to this? Well, I mean, I think that the librarians also know that the lostlings all carry different lanterns, and these lanterns can do different things. I think that there is a oh, look at that. What's secret about this story element that this item contained that no one has uncovered yet? I think that the secret is that this is Andalusia's light, the leader of the dancing rabbits, and I think that there are some scholars in the library who know that Andalusia, a chief of the dancing rabbits, could be compromised if you hold the stray light. There is a crossover question, but we actually don't do crossover for items or monsters, but we do them for player characters. And I treat villains oftentimes like player characters. And so since we're not sharing this with any person, there is no crossover in this particular case. There might be when Donovan shares something with one of them, but let's just see how this plays out. This is our second question. Let's go to Donovan. Why is the foundry important to Donovan? That's because, I think Donovan was born and raised in the foundry. He loves the foundry. He loves the creation of steel. And he himself is armed to the teeth. What danger did you face because of the foundry? I think that Donovan was burned horribly in a foundry accident. And you can see in his profile picture that he wears some kind of interesting glasses. I think it's because is he blind? Yes, Donovan is blind. Donovan is completely blind, and he wears actual, so he has no eyes anymore. They were burned out in the foundry, and he wears like these glasses that show eyes, but he actually can't see. Oh yeah, that's really, really good. I like that a lot. Okay. Faction. Well, this is going to be a pretty easy one. So let's do Donovan. What faction is he part of? He's going to be from the first tribe. So I'm going to choose Pimble is going to be related to the dancing rabbits. And Straylight is going to be related to the Lostlings, which all makes sense. Let's start at the top. Looks like we're going to be doing Pimble. So let's answer Pimble's questions. How is the story element related to your focus? Well, Pimble is a familiar. And since the dancing rabbits continue to get familiars over and over, Pimble's been very aware of the dancing rabbits. Normally, she doesn't have a problem with them. She has a problem with Zero. She knows that Zero is a bad, bad apple. She's a monster, so we're going to answer the second question. What sign appears in this story element to mark this monster's presence? Well, a sign is exactly that, is that the Lostlings, they use their lamps, one of them is a stray light, but they use their shepherd lamps and have symbols in the sky that lead these animals or these monsters on this path. Since Pimble is a hippogriff, there is a particular sign that has been flashed, and it's the flight of the hippogriffs. Yep. Moving down, Donovan and the first tribe. We've already discussed that Donovan is a first tribe. He's blind. Wait a minute, that's not the right card. That's a world building card. Let's do a creation card. Okay, that makes more sense. What ally was gained? Okay, well, I think that since we know that Donovan is blind and he is a member of the council, I don't think that he's the chief. I think that he has the ear of the chief. In fact, let's just say the ally gained through this is Lether. Lether is the chief of the first tribe, so he is the dwarven chief, and Lether and Donovan are close allies. In fact, Donovan is like a seer, a blind seer, and whispers in the ear of Lether, and talks to him about he's the Gramer worm tongue, whispering into the ear of Lether. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and lastly, we have the Lostlings. Let's draw our creation card. Should have had 3 creation cards. Did I lose one of those? Okay. How is the Straylight? Well, the Straylight is related to the Lostlings because it's one of the lamps that leads the creatures. In this particular case, it finds the lost, which also means that Andalusia is a lost. Andalusia is not where he is supposed to be. Oh, that's good. That's really good. What change does this item bring to this story element? What change? The Lostlings know that the Straylight is an unusual lantern since it doesn't. Oh yes, I love this. The Straylight was not made by the good Fae. It was made by the dark Fae. This is a dark Fae lantern, and that's why it causes problems. Yes, that is exactly it. This was made by the dark Fae. How does this item change these people? They know that the Straylight is essentially like a false lantern, and it can lead. Oh yeah, remember how the dark Fae are trying to lead some of these animals astray? They've led Andalusia astray, and Andalusia is the. Oh yeah, you know what was interesting? I was thinking maybe I should have put the Straylight on the dancing rabbits because, well, I didn't know that until just now. Okay, all right, that makes sense. I like it. This is a dark Fae lantern. Okay, let's go to character. Zero, we continue to talk about Zero. I know that Pimble's going to have a thing with Zero. I really like Karkover, and I think that Donovan is definitely going to use Karkover. Even though, oh man, this is Kasserai, and Kasserai and Donovan have the same sort of ambitions, but I definitely see a good way to use Donovan and Karkover. Pimble is related to Zero, very closely related to Zero, and so is the lantern. Okay, let's talk about Zero, and of course, let's go to Pimble. Let's draw a creation card for Pimble. How is this related? This was the last owner of Pimble and the one who was murdered by her. Pimble knows that Zero is a bad apple. And she wants to stop her. The backstory question is, what danger would come to this, what danger would come to Zero from killing this monster? She's already done it once. Well, I think that there is going to be an epic showdown between Pimble and Zero, because Pimble knows, now that she knows the spots on the leopard here with Zero. What danger would come from killing this monster? I think that Pimble will continue to come back stronger and avenge herself, and essentially thwart Zero. She's going to thwart Zero no matter what. The stray light, since we know it's a dark fey lantern, and the intentions of Zero are bad. I think that we've got to say we're going to make a little bit of a stretch here. Let's answer our creation question. I think I know exactly how I want to go with this. How is this related? I'm going to say it's related because Zero has learned that the stray light can control Andalusia, and so she is going for the stray light to lead her own Andalusia, who she could control with the stray light, who is the tribe leader of the Dancing Rabbits. That's kind of her. In fact, that's actually probably I would say that she probably owns the stray light already, and that's why the Dancing Rabbits are on the whole hunt of the hippogriffs anyway. It's an unusual thing that they're hunting down. But oh man, I see that the whole, the Dancing Rabbits all getting hippogriffs as familiars, and they're all using these hippogriffs like they're flying on them. That would be so awesome. Yeah, sweet. What price must someone with this story element pay to use this item? Well, I think that the price that Zero already pays for this is this lantern. Who's controlling who here? This is a dark fey device that is leading magical creatures astray and keeping them lost. I think that the price is that, if she's using the lantern, she's actually really just a pawn of the dark fey. Let's move to Karkover. How is this story element related to your focus? Well, on the surface, it wouldn't look related at all. But I think that Donovan has made a deal with Karkover. Yeah, he's essentially gotten into bed with a poacher, and he is supporting financially and helping. He's helping Karkover secretly to continue his raids among the 8 tribes, because Donovan actually wants to weaken the 8 tribes. He wants them to starve, and so that they are actually they are kind of driven into the help of the dwarves. The dwarves are like, we have plenty of food. We'll help you. Donovan is literally trying to starve out the other 8 tribes and make it so that during this migration, they don't find the Alps at all. And so they don't actually have a food source during this next year. And he's doing so by supporting and helping Donovan and Karkover. Yes. What risk do you take with this story element? Well, Karkover is not like a loyal servant of Donovan. This is an enemy of my enemy is my friend situation. But Karkover could actually be a major problem, since he's been gaining steam since Donovan has been strengthening and bolstering him. Okay, let's go to a detail. We have the, this has got to be, well, the flight of the hippogriff is probably going to be Pimble. The destruction of the signs here. Yeah. Interesting. Donovan is also going to be related to the structure of the signs. I wonder if Donovan is going to have crossover here. Well, let's see. So this is the destruction of the beacons. This event, this detail. We are going to start with the lantern, the stray light. How is the stray light related to this? Let's see. Let's get help from our creation card. How is this related to your focus? How is the stray light related to the destruction of the maybe the stray light is helping destroy these beacons, but that would put Zero and Karkover aligned. Why would they be aligned? I don't know. Let's see. How is this story element related to your focus? I think that, as I talk it through, I think that it's actually better to have my relationship, because I don't think that Karkover, or I don't think that I want Zero and Karkover to really be in bed with each other. So I'm just gonna switch. I'm gonna have it in the Great Migration and the signals. So how is this related? How is this story element related to your focus? The stray light is putting off false signals during the migration. That's exactly what these lanterns do. Is they essentially shine lights that animals can see or monsters can see and follow. It is shining a false light and making false signs. What is this item's burden that falls on the story element when this item is claimed? I think that what burden falls on this story element when this item is claimed? I think that essentially what the function of the stray light is to do the work of the Dark Fae. And the Dark Fae they're not just leading animals astray, like they did Andalusia. Andalusia is lost, stuck in this world. But the Dark Fae, if you were ever to actually claim the lantern, let's say the players do, and you go on an adventure and it leads them, it's going to lead you to the Dark Fae, because the Dark Fae are gathering monsters themselves. And so ultimately, what burden will fall on you if you get this? It's gonna lead you at the end of this to the Dark Fae. Okay, I'll go with that. That was the wrong one. This was supposed to be like this. I was about to say that was weird. That's not Pimble. This is Donovan. Donovan is obviously related to this because these are the signs of the beacons, and his whole thing is destroy the beacons so that people starve. How is he related to this event? He's behind this event. What choice changed the future with this? his choice was that getting in bed with the most hated person with all of the tribes. The first tribes, the dwarves and Donovan, are in league with Karkover, and it was made over this decision. And so these two have a very unholy union. Moving down to the flight of the hippogriffs is obviously Pimble. Pimble is part of the flight of hippogriffs, but she knows already that Zero is going to try to steal she's going to try to steal the hippogriffs for all of the dancing rabbits. And not only that, she knows that Zero is using the stray light to bend onto Lucia's will. And so the flight of the hippogriffs they're in big peril. The dancing rabbits and the hippogriffs are going to definitely clash here, and Pimble knows the truth. My last creation card. My question is, who within this story element sees this monster not as a threat, but as a symbol? I think that's pretty easy. The hippogriffs, I forget the name of, you remember the name that I named for the leader of the hippogriffs that I said a while ago that is the target of Zero? I think that the leader of the hippogriffs, the queen of the hippogriffs, like when I was talking about Shadowfax, I don't remember the name that I used, but I think that Pimble and the queen are aligned now, and they know that there is going to be a battle between the dancing rabbits and the hippogriffs, and Zero using the stray light to lead onto Lucia astray. Okay, wow, we did it. That was a lot of fun. This was a good example of a solo game of Storycaster. I hope that you enjoyed this. We could have done any number of things. I built villains, monsters and items, but we could have built adventures. We could have done gods, all in this setting, this setting of the Valley of the Veil. That's how Storycaster works, is we just play different. We've got different portraits. What is it that we're looking for? And then we use question cards to find, what we're looking for. That's what the creation cards are for. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this demonstration, and yeah, that's it for me, and look for other videos. See you later.